See the REC blinking? That means you're recording now. Okay? All right, folks.
So just remind me, when is your period finished?
We have till 11:55, so you have an hour. Okay?
Need an hour, but we'll take most of it for sure.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Last guys listening. First of all, we are very lucky to have our public health nurse, Miss Macaulay.
Yep, that's me.
Miss Macaulay, come in and join us today. You are the only group that she's going to be able to come in and do this presentation. So you actually get it live. The rest of the groups are going to have to watch it off the videotape next week. So, all right. So, as we're going through this, obviously if you have any questions, make sure that you're raising your hand. We want to make sure that we show proper respect throughout though. Okay?
Thank you. So, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. So, as Mr. Moore said, I'm a public health nurse, and what that means is my job is to work in schools, and I get to come in and talk to students about taking care of themselves, staying healthy, and how are some really good ways to do that. What we're going to be talking about specifically today is eating healthy foods and how can we make healthy choices. What kind of information can help us make those decisions? So before we get into any of this, I want to ask you guys a pretty easy question. Why is it important to eat healthy food? Why do we need to eat healthy? Yes?
Because if we don't eat healthy foods, then we won't have any energy.
Perfect. So healthy food gives us energy. That's a really important one. Why else do we need to eat healthy? Why else?
Certain healthy foods stimulate your brain.
Yeah. Why else do we need to eat healthy? Yeah.
For me?
Yeah.
So we don't get sick.
So we don't get sick, right? We want our bodies to be healthy and not sick. Any other reason why we need to eat healthy? Give us energy, not get sick. What about growing? Are you guys still growing?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are still growing. You're not done growing yet. So you still need to eat lots of healthy things to help your bones and your muscles and everything get strong. Yeah?
There. If you eat healthy, you are healthy.
Exactly. When you eat healthy, you are healthy. That's a perfect answer. So besides eating healthy, what's the other thing that we need to be doing to keep our bodies healthy? There's something else that's part of that equation. Yeah.
Exercise?
Yeah, exercise. Doing something physically active, right? So that can be an organized activity, so a sport, going and doing something very specific, or it could be just a simple matter of going for a walk, riding your bike, going on the skateboard, going to the park. Okay, so anything that gets your heart going and your muscles moving, that's physical activity. That's important to keep our bodies healthy as well. Okay? So putting in healthy food gives us the energy our bodies and our brains need to do the things that we need to do. So some stuff is pretty obvious if it's healthy or not healthy, right? If you're eating an apple or a banana or some carrots, well, we know those are pretty healthy foods, but there's lots of other things that are out there that sometimes it's hard to know whether it's healthy or not. So I know you guys have long ago learned about the 4 food groups, right? And the different kinds of foods that are in the food groups, and that we need to eat a variety of foods, different kinds of foods. Why is it important to eat foods from all the different food groups, guys? Why do we need to eat a variety of foods? Yeah.
Because different foods have different nutrients.
Exactly. Different foods have different nutrients. So let's say for sake of argument that everybody loves broccoli. If you went home every night and had broccoli for dinner, just broccoli, is broccoli healthy? Yeah. Is that fun to just have broccoli every night?
No.
No. And broccoli is only one food group. You're not going to get everything you need from just eating broccoli. Okay? So that's why it's fun to have a variety, but it's important from a health standpoint to have a variety. Okay? So as I said, things that are obvious to us are easy to decide if it's healthy or maybe not so healthy. But what if we're eating something out of a package? That's a little trickier. Okay, and sometimes you're just making your best guess. So this looks healthy, this sounds healthy, this looks not so healthy. But there's lots of information on packages to help you make that choice. Okay, so on every packaged food that you buy in the store, by law, there has to be a nutrition facts table and an ingredient list on the package. Okay, so it has to say certain information on there to be sold in the store. The nutrition facts table has 13 nutrients listed on it. This is by no means all that there is out there, and it is not the only thing that is in the food. These, however, are the things that the experts decided this is what most people would want to know about. These are the kind of more important nutrients that we want to know if they're in the food or not, and that's what we're going to list. Okay? So it's not an exclusive list, it's just the stuff that kind of is at the top of the list. Okay? And then you also have something on the label called an ingredient list. Okay? Those two things are going to help you make some choices about whether things are healthy or not so healthy. All right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the different things that are on the food label and on the nutrition facts table. Yeah?
I heard that on the ingredients list, and if there's something that doesn't sound familiar or something that you don't know, or even your parents don't know, you shouldn't eat it.
Not necessarily, but it would be a good reason to look it up and see what it is, right? Because sometimes the ingredients have very long, complicated sounding names. Really, they mean something very simple, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Okay? Yep.
Well, one time I heard in a book that when they first made cereal, it was only the cereal part. But they decided that it would be good to add milk to it, because then that gives, for two reasons. For one, it tastes good with it, so it's not super dry. And for two, so like you can get more than one food group.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you have a bowl of cereal, you're getting two food groups. That's an easy way, right? Yeah, for sure. Okay, so if everyone can see this, you can look at my big, giant facts table. If you cannot see it very well, on each table I have put a couple of sheets that have the information on it. Okay?
Bring your sheet.
So if you need a sheet, that's fine. If you don't, you can see from here, then that's fine too. There's only a couple for you guys to share, okay? So I put a couple on each table for you guys to share.
Flip it over.
Okay. So at the very top of the nutrition facts table is something that says per, and then there's amount. Okay, on mine it says per 250 mils or 1 cup. This is the serving size on the facts table. Does anybody know why that needs to be there? Why is this here? Yeah.
Because if you just put those, the list like the protein, the sugars, you wouldn't know how much that is per amount.
What is this talking about? Is this talking about the whole box? Is it talking about 1 bowl, 1 cup, 1 whatever? So this number up here is really important because it refers to this. So these pieces of information are for that serving size and that serving size only. Okay? That's a tricky thing, because this serving size isn't necessarily the full amount of the package that you are buying. So for instance, if you have a big box of cereal, obviously you're not going to eat the whole box of cereal at once, right? So the information on the facts table is only going to be for a serving. Do you guys think that the serving on here, so I'm not talking about a big box of cereal now, maybe we're talking about a bottle of orange juice. Do you think that this serving reflects the entire bottle that you just bought, usually?
No.
No, very rarely does it do that, okay? And the tricky part about that is be very careful. Sometimes manufacturers are very smart. You buy a bottle of something or a package of something that's kind of small, it's sort of 1 serving, but maybe it's a little more than that. And if you read this quickly and you don't notice that there's a serving size on here, you might think that what you just read is for the entire amount that you're about to eat or drink. Do you think they want that to happen? They want you to make that mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because if it's not so healthy one that you're about to consume, they want you to kind of quickly look at it and go, oh, you know what, that's not so bad. But in actual fact, whoops, you're going to eat or drink twice what's actually on here. Okay? So it's a little tricky. Be very careful that you look at the serving size and how much you're about to eat or drink before you make a decision about what's on that label. Yeah.
On Gatorade bottles, it's a 500 milliliter bottle, and it shows all the facts, but it only says per 250 milliliters.
So there's a perfect example, right? And people don't think about that in a big box of cereal, that's kind of obvious, but in something smaller that you could consume all in 1 serving, people think that that's for the 1 serving, so it tricks you a little bit, right? So that's really important. Yes?
Also up there, in brackets it says 1 cup.
Yeah.
Which means if you measure it as being a cup, then that's how much it is as you're drinking.
Yep. So it puts it in metric and in imperial, right? It has the same amount, so 250 mils is 1 cup. That's one of the few times we still use both,
One time
right?
when I went to the store and I bought something, it was like a little drink, and we looked on the back, and it was like 12 sugar, 12 sugar. So we looked on the back, and then we looked at the top, and it was said for only half the bottle. So
Yeah.
I just was trying to trick you.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. They want you to think that's a little healthier than maybe it is, right? So the next thing underneath that serving size is calories. Does anybody know what calories are? What are calories? Why is that there?
Calories are what give you energy.
Bingo. Perfect answer. Calories is just the amount of energy that is in the food. Are calories unhealthy?
Yes and no.
Okay, why?
Because if you eat too many calories, it's bad, and if you eat too little calories, it's bad, but if you eat just enough calories, it's good.
Sort of. Not quite the answer I'm looking for. Yep.
Calories are good for helping energy, but when you have too much calories, it can not only produce energy, but it can also produce fat.
So what you want to worry about when it comes to calories, guys, and actually calories is something we don't focus a lot on, but calories always gets a bad rap. We think if something's high in calories, it is therefore bad for us, right? That's not necessarily true, okay? Something high in calories means there's a lot of energy. It depends on where the calories come from, okay? So if it's a healthier source and the calories are high, it doesn't mean it's not good for you, right? It just means it's high in calories. If it's a not so healthy source and the calories are high, that's different, okay? So you need to think about where the calories are coming from. And on this list, there is something that gives us calories. We're going to talk about it in a minute, okay? So, fat. This says 2.5 grams of fat in that serving. Is fat something we want more of or less of?
Less.
Yeah, we want to have less fat in our diets, right? All of these things are important for your diet, guys, okay? Whether we consider them healthy or unhealthy, we still need those nutrients. We just need more of some and less of others to be healthy, right? Do you have a question? Question, not a story.
Yeah, that's a question.
Okay.
Down there when it says get more of these nutrients, and it says vitamin A and calcium and iron, so that when we have, like, when there's iron inside them, is it actually like the mineral iron?
It's actually the mineral. It's a mineral. Yep. Yeah, it's actually a mineral. Okay, so fat, we want to keep that down. We still want to have it in our diets. It's very important. Your body uses fat, okay? But not too much of it. And on the food label, we break it down. We see that it says saturated fats and trans fats. So those are the not so healthy kinds of fats. We want to have less of those, okay? The next one is cholesterol. Does anybody know what cholesterol is? Anybody know it? Yeah?
I forget what the definition is, but I know what cholesterol is.
This is another word, really basic word for cholesterol. Do you know what it is? Well, it's a nutrient. It's fat, guys. It's another kind of fat, okay? But cholesterol, you only get it from animal products, okay? So it's not the kind of fat we see everywhere. It's only if it was something that was made from an animal. So meats have cholesterol, eggs have cholesterol, okay? But some other foods do not have cholesterol. So cholesterol is another kind of fat, but it's something we want to try to not have too much of. Cholesterol, so too much cholesterol can lead to heart problems later in life. That's what clogs up people's arteries. Okay, so you guys have heard about people having heart problems or having problems with their too much cholesterol in their system. That's what causes heart problems. Okay? The next one is sodium. What's another word for sodium? What do we know that as? Salt. Do we want that to be high or low in our diet? Low. Okay? We want to keep that on the lower side. Yes, we do need to have salt in our diet. Do you think that in our society that we have trouble getting salt in our diets?
No.
No. We get lots of salt in our diets, okay? And one of the kinds of foods that has a lot of salt in it, boys and girls, is things that are prepackaged, that we buy in the store already made to eat. There's a lot of salt, like soup is high in salt. Ready to eat, like things like pizzas and dinners that you cook already ready to go, very high in salt. Okay, stuff that's already packaged is very high in salt. If you were to make something at home, make your own soup, make your own pasta dinner, make your own pizza, it's usually lower in salt. Yeah.
I have like 2 things to add. Also, to preserve meat, people put lots of salt.
Yep, back in the day when they were first learning how to preserve stuff, salt does preserve things. We have other ways to do that now, right? So we don't really need to do salt. Salt is used mostly for flavoring. We're very used to having salt in our diets, right? We've become very accustomed to that. And if you have ever tried to eat, has anyone ever had canned vegetables with salt and then the canned vegetables without salt? They taste very different, okay? There's nothing wrong with the one without the salt. We're used to that flavoring, so it tastes kind of like, oh, what's wrong with this corn? It tastes funny. So we're very used to salt in our diets. We need to not have so much salt in our diet, okay? Yeah.
What is saturated fat?
So it's just a kind of fat. It's the way that it's broken down in your body, the way that it's used, and it's not a healthy kind of fat. It's not the kind of fat that really contributes a lot to our diet. It tends to end up clogging up arteries and giving us problems later on in life. So we want to try to have less of that kind of fat, okay? Yeah.
What's trans fat?
So trans fat is actually a manufactured product. It's not a real fat. It's something that manufacturers put into the food as another component, and as a matter of fact, the government is trying really hard to get food companies to take that out of their products. Because it's a fake fat, basically, and it's really bad for us. So we find it in a lot of fast food has that. A lot of things like cookies and cakes that you buy already made at a store in a package has trans fat. They don't really need to be there. It's not really necessary. Yeah.
What does the trans fat do?
Well, again, like other fats, what I was talking about, it's contributing to problems with your circulation. It adds extra fat to your body, right, which is not necessarily what we want to have. So it contributes to a lot of health problems later on in life. Yep.
And also, I'm pretty sure you lose a lot of salt when you're sick.
Only if you're vomiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can lose other things too.
Yeah. And that's why people normally eat like chicken noodle soup.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when it says get less of these nutrients,
Yep.
why isn't sugar in red?
Well, we're gonna keep going, okay?
Not even on the sheet.
We're going to keep going. So the sheet you have is a little bit different than my picture, but it's still giving you information. Okay, guys? So salt, we want to try to keep that low in our system. Carbohydrates. Do you think we want to have high or low?
Lower.
Lower? What do you think?
Like in the middle. Carbohydrate.
Yeah?
What is carbohydrate?
Yeah, there's a good question. Does anybody know what kind of foods give us carbohydrates? What food group?
So like pastas and breads.
Yeah, so what food group is that? Remember? What food group? Can no one say what food group that is? Yeah, grains and wheat products, right? So we get a lot of carbohydrates from grains and wheat products. Pasta is a big one. Carbohydrates are your energy food, ladies and gentlemen. So that brings me back to the calorie conversation. Calories equals energy. If the energy in this food is high because it's high in carbohydrates, does that mean that it's probably a healthier food?
Yeah.
Yeah. So high carbohydrate equals high calories does not equal unhealthy. Okay? If all of the energy came because this was full of tons of sugar and the calories were high, that would be not so healthy, right? So don't rely too much on calories. That's probably the last thing you want to consider when you're reading these labels. Not that important. Yeah.
Since carbohydrates give you energy, and pasta has a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of runners
Yep.
eat a lot of pasta
Yep.
before their race,
Yep.
like the night before.
Yep.
And then when they go to run, they'll have lots of energy.
Yeah. So the difference between carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, guys, they actually are a type of sugar, but it's the way that your body breaks it down. So when your body is using carbohydrates, it's actually using it very efficiently. So let's pretend you had a line for energy and it was just going nice and straight along like this, and then it might very, very slowly start to taper off when your body runs out of those carbohydrates. Okay? That is really good energy. If you were to have a big chocolate bar before a race, your energy would go zoop and then bam. Okay? Because your body does not use that kind of sugar very effectively. So carbs are a kind of sugar, but it's a much healthier way for your body to get your energy. Okay? So carbs are something we do want to have in our system. It is something that is healthy and we want to have higher amounts of that. Okay, that's a healthy nutrient. So fiber, is that high or low in our diet? What do you guys think?
High.
Yep. What kinds of foods give us fiber? Does anybody know?
Avocados and pears.
So fruits and vegetables, okay, very basic. And we also get it from anything else?
Wheats or grains.
Yeah, wheats and grains, okay, like whole wheats give us fiber. Our body uses that for bulk and for other nutrients, so fiber is important. You do want fiber in your diet. And then we have sugar. So you're right, sugar is something we don't want to have lots and lots of, right guys? So what kinds of health problems can too much sugar contribute to? Does anybody know? What kinds of things can go wrong if you have too much sugar?
Well, I believe that too much sugar in your blood can give you sometimes heart problems and also problems like clogging up your veins.
So it doesn't actually contribute to any heart problems, but it does contribute to another kind of disease.
Well, if you have a lot of sugar, you can get diabetes.
It can be a contributing factor to developing diabetes. Some people are born with diabetes. That's very different. Okay, it has nothing to do with diet. But if you follow an unhealthy lifestyle, diet being one of them, it can contribute to that. There's another really basic one, really basic health problem that too much sugar can cause. You guys, I would bet at least some people in this room have had this problem from maybe too much sugar, maybe not.
Blood stuff.
Nope, really basic one. Nope. Maybe hyper, but that's not what I'm thinking of.
Sugar.
Nope.
High blood sugar.
No, I'll give you guys a hint. You go probably once or twice a year to see this person for checkups, and they put lots of things in your mouth.
Dentist.
Nope. Yeah, so what does too much sugar cause, guys? Cavities, thank you. Really basic, right? That's a simple one that we don't think about. But lots of sugar, if you're eating high sugar foods or drinking high sugar drinks, and that's sitting on your teeth, you can end up with lots of cavities. Okay, not to mention it's not a healthy form of energy for your body. Yeah.
Cavities sometimes do lead to heart problems.
Not the cavity itself, but it allows an entryway into your body. For some people, it can lead to a heart infection, you're right, but not necessarily heart disease, a little bit different. Okay, but high sugar, no connection to heart problems, guys. Okay, that's a totally different thing.
Well, when you said like when you have a chocolate bar and like your good vitamin sugar.
Yep.
Well, one time my friend was on a sugar rush and he had.
Okay, you know what? No stories, okay, about other
It's a
people.
very big story.
No, we're gonna move on, guys. Okay. Question?
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's carbohydrate, lots of carbohydrates, but lots of calories, it's good for you. Lots of sugar, lots of calories.
Right. So if you're looking in this nutrition facts table and you see that the carbohydrate number is very low and the sugar number is very high, then your calories are coming from the sugar, right? So that's not so healthy.
Well, the
Okay.
carbohydrates are sort of bigger than
In
the
this
sugar.
example, they're fairly close, okay? But just as a rule, if you're looking at the numbers, the calories are coming from the sugar and from the carbohydrates. So it depends on what is in there. Okay, let's go to protein. Do we want to have high or low protein in our diets? You guys can all answer at once.
Yes.
Yeah, high, right? Protein is really healthy. Does anyone know what protein does for your body? What does that help with? It helps build muscle, right? And it also contributes to strong bones. Okay, so protein is really important, especially for people like you that are still growing. Okay, so protein is something we do want to have in our food. At the very bottom are some vitamins and minerals listed. Okay, again, just because there's only those ones there does not mean that that is all that is in the food, but these are the ones that most people want to know about and think about and want to see if it's in their food. So we have vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, iron, and vitamin D. Okay? In a lot of cases, they've added these vitamins. Okay? Because typically, if we're eating really healthy, we do get a good amount of vitamins, but typically in our diets, we're not always getting enough. So by adding it to the foods we eat a lot of, we know we're getting those healthy vitamins and minerals. Yeah?
There is the other side there is get more of these nutrients and vitamin D is not.
Yeah, so vitamin D is something that we can get in a really, really easy way without eating. Does anybody know a really easy way that we can get vitamin D?
The sun.
Yeah, by being out in the sun. Okay, and it doesn't take much, 10 minutes on a sunny day, and your body starts to make its own vitamin D. Okay, So, vitamin D isn't necessarily something that we have to get lots of because it's usually in a lot of our foods and we make our own. Okay? It doesn't mean that you don't want to have it. It just means that you don't have to focus on it too much. Okay? Yeah?
When you're outside in the sun day and your body makes vitamin D, that's kind of like when leaves make food for the plant.
That's right. Yeah, photosynthesis. Kind of like that. Yeah. Yep.
When people say they're burning calories, would that mean they're burning the sugar calories? The good calories? Like,
So
does it mean adding calories?
It means,
or?
no, so burning calories means using them. Okay, so remember we said calories equals energy. So energy is what we use to do everything we do, right? To make our brain work, to make our bodies and our legs go, right? We have to have energy. So if you're burning calories, it just means your body is using the calories that you've put in, right? Whatever energy you're putting in, now you're using it to do your activity. Okay?
Sometimes when people eat a chocolate bar or something, they'll go for a run because they burn the bad calories that they just ate.
So really important, guys, to think about the fact that there's no such thing as bad calories or bad food. Okay? All food is acceptable. We can eat any food we want to eat, right? What we need to think about is putting more of the healthy stuff and a little bit less of the not so healthy. Okay? Going for a big run right after you had a chocolate bar, do you think that's going to work out well? No. You're probably going to feel really awful because you're going to crash. You're not going to have good energy. Okay? So it's okay to have a chocolate bar or cookies or chips or whatever once in a while, right? It's not something we should be having as part of our diet every single day though, right? Because it's not the healthiest choice. But as long as we're putting in more healthy and less unhealthy, then we're making good choices for our body. Yes?
Don't sugar rushes come from caffeine and not sugar?
No. Sugar is basically, some people react very strongly to having sugar in their body. Caffeine increases your blood pressure and your heart rate, but it's a different effect, different thing, okay? Okay, so let's move on to the ingredient list. Yes?
I have one question for
Sure.
you. I'm trying to figure out from the ingredients that are in this,
Yep.
what type of food this might be.
It's just generic. It doesn't
just
reflect
generic?
any food. Yeah, it's just an example of
The
a
only
label.
thing that I could come up with was I was thinking with the carbohydrates, there's probably egg, the calcium, there's probably milk, there's probably some grain in there.
Yeah, this isn't representative of any food. It's just an example of a generic label. So it probably doesn't reflect anything that, it's
Okay.
probably a mishmash of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did make a lot of sense.
Okay, so guys, ingredient list. What is different about the ingredient list as opposed to this? Any idea? How's the ingredient list different? Yep.
Because the ingredient list shows the ingredients that are in the food.
Yeah.
And the nutrition facts shows what nutrients are in the food.
So this tells you nutrients. You have no idea what's in the package, right? So that's kind of what Mr. Moore was trying to say. What exactly is this thing? Well, you don't really know very well from this, but you could know from the ingredient list, right? So ingredient lists have all the different names of the different things that are in that food. Is there any reason, or do you think there's any purpose to the order that the list comes in? So does it matter what's first, second, third, fourth, fifth? Is there a reason to put them in any order?
Yes.
Because it goes from the most amount to
Yep.
the least amount.
Perfect answer, exactly. It goes from the most thing to the least thing. Okay? So do you think knowing that can help you decide if a food is healthy or not?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Let's say the first three ingredients are this: sucrose, glucose, and fructose. Does anybody know if that's healthy or not?
Well, sucralose is a replacement for sugar.
So sucrose, not sucralose, is what I said. So I'm trying to trick you guys. Sucrose, fructose, and glucose. Does anybody know what those actually are? Those are all words for sugar, guys. Okay? So, sucrose, fructose, and glucose are the first three ingredients in my ingredient list of my food. Is that healthy?
No.
No, not so much. What if the first couple of ingredients are whole wheat flour, water, and eggs? Does that sound healthier?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Way healthier.
Okay? Now, the reason I threw those funny words at you is because people do that. Manufacturers do that because some people don't know what fructose or glucose or sucrose are. So they're going to look at that and go, well, I don't know what that is, but Must be healthy, I'll think I'll eat it. Right? So that goes back to what someone mentioned at the beginning. If you read an ingredient, you don't know what it is, you shouldn't eat it. Maybe, but maybe you should go and look it up and see what it is. So companies will use long, complicated names. They're not lying. Sucrose is a real word. It is a type of sugar, but they're betting on the fact that maybe you don't know what that is. So maybe you're going to buy the product because you're kind of fooled into thinking, oh, it's a big, long, fancy name. It must be something healthy for me. Okay? So don't always be fooled by those big, long names. Sometimes it's something really simple. Cholesterol just means fat. Okay? So some words are big and long, but they mean very basic things. So when you look at the ingredient list, it tells you the order of the foods of what's in there, and what else is something that's really important that you might see in the ingredient list that some people might really be interested in knowing. Really important.
Well, sometimes it says if there's certain things that people could be allergic to.
Perfect. Has allergy things at the bottom, right? Now, not every possible food allergy is listed on a food. So if you're someone that has lots of food allergies, is it really important to read the full ingredient list?
That's what I always do.
For sure. So if you have food allergies, it's really important to read the whole list because sometimes things are in there that not everybody's allergic to, but maybe you are. The big ones are usually at the bottom in big black letters, right? So may contain nuts, peanuts, wheat, egg, milk. It may say those things, right? Those are the big common ones. But read the ingredient list if you're allergic because it's really important. Okay? Yes?
Well, this company and the Five Alive, it's not really trying to trick anybody because it says sugar/glucose and fruit.
Yeah, so that's good. So they've actually said to people that that's what that means, right? So that's helpful.
And maybe it might only be on this thing by Five Alive, but maybe they're trying to trick them with something else that their company makes. Because if they tell them that, yeah, sugar/glucose and fructose, people are going to start trusting Five Alive. Which means if on another one they try to trick them, then they're going to trust them.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a really simple question from that ingredient list. Do you think that that's a healthy drink? Does it say anything about fruit juice in the ingredients?
Yep, it's the second thing.
The second thing says fruit juice, but the first ingredient is sugar, right?
No, filtered water.
Oh, filtered water. Okay.
What's filtered water?
Just water that's been cleaned, basically.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's water that's filtered.
So you know that you're getting a few other things in there besides fruit juice, right guys? Okay, so for the next few minutes, I'm going to get you guys to do a very quick little activity to use the information we've just talked about. Okay, so all the people that are not sitting at a desk, you guys are going to need to gather at a desk. So everybody.
There's no sugar, or it might not mean there's no sugar.
Kira, what do we have here?
It says for 6 crackers there's 0 grams of sugar, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because maybe per 7 crackers there's a gram of sugar.
Very nice.
Number 2.
So Ethan, what do we have here?
We have Life cereal
Versus Frosted Flakes. Close enough.
It's pretty healthy for what we've seen.
Well, first of all, we compare the nutrition facts.
So before you compare this part, what do you need to know right away?
Ingredients.
Nope, before that.
What do we got going on here, Armin? What have we discovered?
The facts and Eric's on the paper.
And they're laughing too. And everyone's going under this is per English book.
And it doesn't look that healthy. Because there's a lot of carbohydrates.
Okay. What do we have, ladies?
8%.
Okay. So what do we have here, gentlemen?
We have Rice Krispies and Nutri-Grain bars. Which do you think wins? Nutri-Grain or Rice Krispies? I'd say Nutri-Grain. Yeah.
But that one has multiple.
All right. What do we got here, guys?
We have 5% granola bars and Pop Tarts.
Which one do you think is healthier?
We think that it's granola. Brady, explain why.
All right.
No, Brady needs to explain. He has a great speech. He has a great speech.
Okay,
Vitamin
excellent.